All right, hello. My name's Josh, and today I'm sitting down with a friend of mine, Enos Hirschberger. Um, man, how do I introduce Enos? He has a podcast called the Amish Rebel Podcast, so you're definitely gonna want to check that out. And we've talked a few times on the phone and got to know each other, and I think we have a lot in common.
Yes.
Maybe scary even so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just want to kind of find out who you are and where you come
Okay.
from. I believe, or I know you grew up Amish, so you want to start with that? Or how was that? Growing up Amish, how was
Yeah.
that?
Growing up Amish, and first of all, thank you for having me on your
Yeah,
podcast. You have a beautiful studio here,
yeah.
and greatly appreciate you having me on. Um, Man, growing up was it was quite interesting for me. Like we, uh, similar to your experience, I think like grew up Swartz and Trooper Amish. They're
Okay.
super strict and grew up in a community that maybe wasn't. I mean, they were very strict in the rules, but within the Swartz and Trooper community, maybe it wasn't
Mhm.
the strictest Swartz and Trooper community because there was a lot of partying, a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
rebellion going on.
Right.
But for myself, I just I don't know when I was a kid, I realized that our family was different from most of the other families. Like
Mm.
there was something I thought, it was because we were super poor.
Okay.
My parents were not very well off at all. I mean, I remember not having food in the house at times.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
just barely scraping by. There was a lot of really tough seasons that my mom and dad went through, house
Hmm.
fires and stuff like that.
House fires?
Yeah,
Oh, how
yeah,
many?
they had like three house fires
Three?
total.
Holy. Like, is it like a chimney fire usually, or?
Yeah, I think I think well, the first one burned completely to the ground. I lost, uh, well, they lost their three oldest sons at the time, which
Really?
is my three oldest brothers. Yeah,
Holy moly.
yeah. And so then,
Three oldest.
so
Okay.
but yeah, so there's 10 in my family,
Okay.
and which would be 13 with the three oldest, so
Mm-hmm.
13 total. But
Wow.
brothers and sisters, there's I guess there have been nine brothers and then four sisters
Okay.
total,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty crazy. But yeah, then um, I mean, with them going through stuff like that, it just
Yeah.
made it super. The Amish, they don't really seek counseling or anything like that, so
Yeah.
they just buried that stuff, which is crazy to me.
Right. They don't know how to express
Yeah.
themselves. No, there's no insurance, right?
No, there was no insurance.
So do you know or remember if the community, I know they come out to help each other with building a new house, of course, but what about paying for it?
Yeah, I don't really. Actually, I think they were like renting an old farmhouse at the time.
Okay.
My parents were in Canada, so half my family's Canadian
Oh, okay.
because my parents moved to Canada before I was born, but then they moved from Canada to Minnesota, and that's
Okay.
where I was born, and that's
Okay.
where I lived until I was 19 is when I moved. Or actually, I was 20 when I moved to Ohio,
Okay.
and but yeah, as a kid growing up, I remember I slightly remember the second fire. They lived in a shop and that pretty much completely burnt down. I mean, they were able to
Mm.
save some of it. In fact, we'd crawl up in the attic and see all the scarred lumber that was still up there
Oh, really?
from from some of it that they salvaged.
Mm-hmm.
The community did come together on that one, and
Mm-hmm.
I know that they rebuilt that. And then when I think I was maybe six man, I remember this one. I was probably 6 or 7. We had a house fire that moved from the shop to the house,
Mm.
and we had chimney fire in the house. And that house was just, I don't know what it was. Like, it was constantly catching chimney fires.
Oh wow.
And the chimneys were really bad, I guess. And that burned a big hole in the wall. So it didn't
Hmm.
go very far. But it was scary because,
Yeah.
every time, I can't even imagine what my parents went through every time there was
Yeah.
a fire.
So the first one, they lose their three oldest,
Yeah.
and then this happens twice. Like the emotions and stuff they gotta go through.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're talking the Amish. At least where we both grew up, there's no electric. Everything's wood heat, right?
Yeah.
Wood stoves.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. Typically, it's pretty safe though, unless
Yeah.
maybe it was an
I
old chimney or.
Yeah.
That's just weird. Like three fires.
Yeah, it's
That's
I
it's not normal.
I don't know that anybody, like, most of the houses are built new. I mean,
Yeah.
occasionally you move into an old house, and I guess that was kind of the path that my parents ended up down. Is they were poor getting married, and so
Mm-hmm.
they lost their first house, so now they can't afford to go into a new house.
Yeah.
So they're living in a shop, which I think that was a chimney fire,
Mm-hmm.
just not proper, not the proper
Yeah.
chimney. And then they move into an old farmhouse, which, again, bad chimneys.
Yeah.
And so, um,
Wow.
yeah, but that's the way, I mean, that's the way I was raised, like, grew up in that environment. Just, remember growing up, like, old farmhouse in Minnesota, 20 below zero. Snow is blowing into the room. We wake up, you could see snow on the windowsill
Inside the
and
window.
inside the window. So you just, you didn't spend a lot of time putting your pants on.
Gotta get out of here.
You'd run down, run down in front of the stove and
Mm-hmm.
stand in front of the stove.
So there's no heat in your room.
There was a little register, but by the time, because if you think about in Minnesota, like, they have to pack the stove for the night, and then that
Mm-hmm.
throttles the stove down.
Right.
And by the time morning rolls around, I mean, it's freezing up in the room,
Yeah.
pretty close to it.
So the stove is like the first story,
Yeah,
and then you have a little register where heat can go up into the second story. But
yeah.
yeah,
And the registers consists of a hole in the floor.
right on.
I mean, and usually there's one in the entire upstairs. So
Mm-hmm.
there's one hole where it allows heat up through.
Oh wow.
So
And
uh,
today's teenagers sometimes lose Wi-Fi.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
unbelievable. I ain't got no Wi-Fi.
yeah, yeah.
Jeez.
It's. I mean, like, blows my mind, even like just talking about it, because I don't think about that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And but I am grateful to have, like, grown up that way, because it makes me a lot more thankful for
Yeah.
the things that I have now,
Right.
and I can hopefully pass some of that on to my kids.
Yeah. Um, we're gonna cut off this, get off that subject and come back later, probably. But then I like to pick on people. So
Okay.
when you say something like that, like you're grateful for growing up that way, and that's a very good thing to say. But then what is somebody supposed to think when they say, "Well, I grew up great. I didn't
Hmm.
have a hard childhood." So does that mean that I'm not grateful? Like, how can they be grateful too? You know what I mean?
Yeah, they should be extra grateful.
Yeah, but
I left the extra part out.
uh, so you're just grateful. They
So
have to be
just
extra grateful.
yes, yes. I think. Well, I mean, the way that I see it, it's like, it would I go relive that? It's a little hard to say, like, I would go relive that. No, I wouldn't really
Yeah.
want to do that, but I can look back over my life, and I used to not be grateful for it, but now I
Hmm.
see it as, like, I wouldn't be who I am today. Enos wouldn't be who he is today if it wasn't that I had all those experiences stacked up.
Yeah.
So it you know,
Mm.
I guess that's the grateful part. I got nothing but to be grateful now. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to live that way, and I
Yeah.
have a lot of experiences that other people choose not to have.
Right.
So
And that's also, I guess, you learn to let your past make you better rather than bitter.
yeah,
Right. Like look
it's
at
true. Yeah.
what you can learn from that and just take the positive out and leave the
Yeah.
negative.
Yeah.
But I mean we have some brat little not just teenagers these days. I mean there's old people too that are just brats.
Yeah.
They think they deserve everything handed to them.
Hmm.
And but isn't that the parents' fault a lot though too?
Entitlement, yeah, I think it
Yeah.
is. I mean, I think it comes down to, well, I'm convinced you can, whether it's passive or intentional, you can parent your kids into anything that you like for them to be.
Yeah.
And so if they're entitled, then there's probably just a passivity there. They're not, they're not being parented at all,
Mm-hmm.
or they're, you know, stuff's being handed to them.
Right.
There, that was the hardest thing for me coming out of that. Like I had like told myself that I would never, my kids would never have to deal with the things that I had to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to protect them from that at all costs.
Yeah.
And so I soon realized that there is a happy medium in between there. Like I can't just give them everything, because if I give them everything, then they
Mm-hmm.
never learn to appreciate what they've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
And I also don't, um, they also don't learn what it takes to get something,
Yeah.
which builds up that muscle of endurance and the will
Right.
to
Yeah.
fight and to do things and to go be somebody.
Mm-hmm.
If I just hand them everything, they're gonna look up at 25 and say, "Hey, Dad, when are you giving me your house?"
Exactly.
I don't want that.
Yeah. It's a hard balance I think to figure out because I've heard of in some other countries where I mean you probably heard the word helicopter parents,
Yeah,
but to where it's a poor country and it's not really safe to have your kids out too much maybe,
yeah.
and so the parents are just always there and they want the best for their kids and everybody does, but it's tough to like. Recently, I seen a video that Andrew Tate was talking about that his dad would walk past him and just push him over.
Mm,
Yeah, I can't get myself to do that to my kid, but it really made me think. And he said, you get to a point where you're like, "Ha, you're gonna push me. I jumped out of the way. You didn't get me.
hmm.
Yeah, you tried, didn't get me." And it wasn't the dad didn't do it. He wasn't mad. He was just teaching him that in life you're gonna get pushed over.
Mm, yeah,
But how do you, I mean, besides pushing your kid over, maybe you don't want to do that, but I just want kids that are tough and can handle
yeah,
life.
yeah.
How do you do that? You're a father.
Well, I mean, I'd say for myself, like I can speak for what I've done for my boys, and that's you have two boys,
Yeah.
similar age, and um, I just early on I realized that I need to let them struggle, like
Hmm.
struggle beyond what I think they should struggle,
Yeah.
struggle until
Yeah.
they choose to do something different. So I give them hard jobs. I give them difficult jobs, jobs that I
Hmm.
may know that they're not even going to complete by themselves, but they're going to almost, they're going to push their limit trying to complete the job by themselves, because
Yeah.
that's what men do. We don't ask for help until we're almost at the end of what we think we're capable
Yeah.
of, and then all of a sudden we turn back. So my
Yeah.
boys, that's what I choose to do. Is like, hey, uh, you know, let's say it's mowing the lawn with an Amish push mower. They do
Hmm.
that. They choose to do that. They actually want to do that.
Really?
But the lawn is pretty big, and in a
Yeah.
kid's eye, they don't really look at the whole scope of things and think, "Oh, I can do this in a day."
Mm,
in their mind that this is just cool and fun, right? But then
yeah.
they realize a week in, 2 weeks in, a month in, like this is a job.
Yeah.
This is hard. This is difficult. And so it's not until they come to me and say, Dad, like I don't think I can keep up with it.
Hmm.
The grass is getting too tall or something like that. I'm using that as an example, but they
Yeah.
do mow the lawn with an Amish push mower, and I think it's really healthy for them because it gives them an appreciation that
Yeah.
that's difficult. It's a hard job, but
Yeah.
it's nothing compared to what they'll be facing in the real world. I feel.
Yeah. But you have to just like you just think long term to get them to, because it's hard to push them to do something that you don't want to do, and you know they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It's so much easier for me, at least. It's so much easier to just, yeah, let me just get that for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I used to do that. I used to, Josh. I don't know. It was challenging for me to let go and
Yeah.
say. I actually made it a point at one point to say, I will not help you unless you're in real danger. I will not help you unless you ask for help.
Mm.
And until then, I will sit and watch you struggle because
Yeah.
I think there's a correlation there.
Yeah.
And I think I want them to learn that it is as simple as stopping and asking.
Mm.
And if they can stop and ask,
Hmm.
uh, maybe later on in life it'll click that hey, I can stop and ask God for help when I'm in a
Yeah.
struggle.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
um,
It's like you open the box to put something together and you take the instruction, you throw it in the trash. And then 2 hours later, you go dig it out of the trash. Now, how do I do this again?
yep.
Yeah, that's how we do it. Um, and you have how many kids?
There's two boys and two girls. Now the girls
Okay.
are parented completely differently.
Yeah.
For me, not my wife. It's her job.
Right.
Like with
Yeah.
the girl, not I don't say her job. Like I parent the girls too. Like they need a father figure, but
Yeah.
it's if they get scratched, I'm not gonna say don't worry about it.
Right. Yeah.
I'll pick them up. And
Yeah.
if the boys get scratched, I said, oh well, at least your leg is still on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's I definitely pick them up and hold the boys as well, but
Yeah.
it's not as the girls are just more fragile. They're more sensitive, and
Hmm.
I don't expect them to physically do even close to what the boys do.
Yeah.
So
Um, I don't know if this you talk about it publicly. Like, do you got a few that are adopted?
yeah, we do
Uh,
talk about it publicly.
okay.
Our three oldest are adopted. We got into foster care.
Okay. I was curious
Uh,
how that happened.
yeah, we were gonna adopt. Like we really wanted to make a difference in kids' lives,
Hmm.
and we were gonna straight up adopt. And then we had a series of things happen. We really felt like God's pulling us to get into foster care and get involved in that system, and so we did, and we had a couple of kids in our home, and we ended up with the oldest one, Trace, and
Okay.
he's been on the podcast several times, and he uh, he was quite the character at the time.
Yeah.
When
How
he
old was he?
he was 4 years old,
Okay.
and anyway, so long story short, we end up finding out that he's got two siblings. And we said no way that we can't split them up.
Mm.
So we chose to take all three of them as our first three kids, and
From
we
0 to 3.
from 0 to 3.
How old were they, the younger ones?
The twins were 2 at the
So
time.
you have a 4-year-old and twins that are 2.
Yes. Yeah.
That had to be hard
Yeah, that
to.
was probably one of the more challenging seasons in my
Yeah.
life.
How
But
was it for them to you have to build trust with them because you're not their
yeah,
parents. How did you do that?
yeah. I mean that came. Well, we immediately when we got them, it was like us figuring out who we are as parents, and then
Mm,
figuring out how they fit in our home structure, right? So it was like they're in a new environment, we're in a
yeah.
new situation. Like so there
Good
was a lot,
perspective.
yeah, there was a lot of things that so we began to like just put structure in place and routine and
Okay.
just follow it to a T. And
Mm,
I felt like that gave them like security in a unique way,
mm-hmm.
and it allowed them to see that like we want the best for them. Plus, they felt safe.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably the first time in their lives that they've been in an environment where they're like they felt structured.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they felt routine.
Mm,
They saw that they were being taken care of really well. Not they were in another foster home, and I'm sure
okay.
they were being taken care of there, but I don't know what the routine was like. Was it what we had? But
Yeah.
you know, I feel like that's how ultimately we that, and then we did things like because we were in foster care, we couldn't do the corporal punishment or anything like that. There was
Right.
only hey, like go sit in the corner type of deal.
Yeah.
And to them, that was like the end of the world. I mean, they had
Mm.
never, I don't think they'd ever had like discipline
Oh
of any
wow.
sort. And
Wow.
so, so that was a
Mm.
whole new concept.
Yeah.
And then, so through those things, I feel like they really begin to, because a child desires discipline. They love discipline and structure.
Hmm.
Most parents don't realize that.
Yeah.
Like that's why a child acts out because they don't, well, number one is like they're not getting the love that they feel like they should get, and then number two is they're not getting disciplined.
Mm.
Like think about like do you like to be not disciplined or disciplined? Like which one do you think serves you better?
I never thought about it much. I know being disciplined will serve me better,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
I never thought about it as a child that I wanted to be disciplined.
yeah. Ask your children.
Hmm. Interesting topic.
Yeah, so it's I ask my children. The rules are pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same way within the world. The rules are clear.
Yeah.
Do we choose to follow them? If we don't follow them, we will be disciplined.
Yeah.
And that could be the cost of our lives in prison,
Right. Yeah.
whatever that is. But it's still discipline.
Yeah.
And so it's not a new concept. It's just the world has gotten so far away from disciplining children in a healthy way
Mm-hmm.
because it's the world is on a path of rebellion,
That's
and
for
so
sure.
children are no exception to that. They don't want
Yeah.
us to, they don't want disciplined children. Otherwise, like, they know what they want. They're going to grow
Yeah.
up to be confident young men and women
Mm-hmm.
to, you know,
Hmm.
be able to make a difference in this world. And so I have a lot of conversations with my kids about that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I will I will ask them on a regular basis if they think that it's a good idea to be disciplined,
Hmm.
and they will always come back with a yes.
Yeah. And I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed we just had some amazing ribs and potatoes for lunch
Yes, they
that my
were
wife cooked
very
up,
very good.
and but I noticed that they were very well behaved,
Thank
and
you.
at the table they're quiet, they're very respectful and disciplined, I guess. And so
Thank you.
okay, I gotta ask you how you did that, because it's I would imagine maybe I'm wrong. I just thought it might be harder if they're adopted because they didn't have that connection with you as a baby.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think it is harder, or is it?
Well, it's definitely harder because you're working through all the emotions of their trauma from whatever age.
Yeah.
The youngest were 2, but they still had emotions. They already
Right.
had
Yeah.
created
Oh yeah.
emotions and ties to people, and so
Yeah.
regardless whether they can verbalize it or not, they're confused at what's going on.
Yeah.
Their world's just been turned upside down, and
Right. Yeah.
there's these strange faces looking at them and saying you can't do this or you can't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of emotions that we got to work through, and we
Hmm.
continue to work through those uh, going forward. But
Hmm.
I would say to kind of like bring it all together, it's they trust us 100%, like 100%. Like
That's
we're
awesome.
their parents.
Yeah.
We don't see them any different than our biological child, and
Yeah.
so and we want them to know that. We want them to feel that and experience that. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of adopted families, like uh, I have seen in the past, like they use that as an excuse not to put in the work, whether they choose to or not. They
You mean the
use it.
parents?
The parents, yeah. It's
Oh.
almost like, well, Johnny's that way because he's adopted. It's understandable, and people begin to reassure them
Mm-hmm.
that that's okay because Johnny's adopted. I mean,
Hmm.
of course he'd be that way, right?
Wow.
Like, so then you begin to build a structure that supports Johnny in an unhealthy environment, and
Wow. That's
it's
really
just
good.
I don't know. Um, I mean, I can only speak for what we've been able to do, but I do see that from
Hmm.
from other families, and I'm not, they're not teenagers, so we'll see, how
Yeah.
things play out. But I do know for sure, for a fact, that we're gonna do our absolute best to continue to teach them
Yeah.
that they have one father, one mother,
Mm-hmm.
and that they're loved and that they're taken care of, and then
Yeah.
it's up to them to decide what they choose to do. But
And I think if when you're using John as an example, he'll they'll also feel that probably
for sure,
if they're
yeah,
treated different.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, think about it. If Johnny gets to throw a fit to have that toy, and of course he's that way because he's adopted,
Yeah.
what is he gonna do the next time?
It's gonna do the same thing.
He's gonna do the same thing.
Yeah. We'll
He's
milk the
gonna,
cow.
and he'll do that when he's 35.
Mm. Yeah. Gets
I
pulled
mean,
over by the cops and it's like a little brat and then
yep,
yeah. Wow.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
well that was really good.
well,
Um
thank you.
yeah.
And I just full disclosure, we're by no means even close to perfect parents.
I knew you were gonna say that.
So
Just shut up. Just forget it.
I love my job as a dad. Like
Yeah.
it's the greatest job I've ever
Mm,
gotten to do, and I take it very seriously, and I
hmm.
want my children to do well, and
Yeah.
hopefully they can see that. And I know you do the same. Like
Yeah.
you love your children very much. It's sometimes more. I mean, it is more challenging because of the way like I grew up to. Because the opposite is like I don't ever want them to go through, but then
Hmm.
what I went through, but then I recognized that part of what I went through was simply because there wasn't reassurance of love.
Hmm.
So if there's discipline with no love,
Mm.
then a child feels neglected and taken advantage of. If there's clear discipline with clear love and instruction,
Hmm.
then they feel secure
Mm.
because they know. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like the right from wrong. I mean, uh, we know what's right and what's wrong, and
Yeah.
we know that there's consequences tied to both.
Hmm.
So whether good or bad, and
Very good. So that kind of ties us back then as growing up. Did you have any good connection with your parents? Like, did they say I love you? Did they help you? Was there any affirmation like that or
Yeah, there was not, no.
nothing?
I would say my mom would comfort me, like when I came to her. Like
Mm-hmm.
she would let me know things are okay, but there was no I love you. And probably the relationship that affected me the most was my dad. I so badly wanted my dad to be there, and I just never. Well, probably about a year or so before he passed, I began to like build that relationship. But um, definitely not as a kid. Just no I love yous, no hugs, none of that. And then a lot of discipline, without any explanation whatsoever. So that leaves room for a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
Why am I getting disciplined? Like I don't even get the chance to speak for myself.
Hmm.
So
A lot of spankings.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of
I got those too.
a lot of butt whoopings, and that's why I tell people today. I said, look, I got a lot of like really harsh butt whoopings,
Mm.
and I deserved every single one of them because I made up for the ones that I didn't get.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that actually I don't feel like ever like affected me in a negative way.
Mm.
It was the fact that my dad never spoke to me about him.
Mm-hmm.
It was the fact that he didn't acknowledge the good things that we did. Like some of those things is what I think affected me. It's the fact that he wasn't there for my birthday or some of those things. Like I think is what affected me more than the discipline itself.
So when was he working all the time or
Yeah,
what?
he
Okay.
was working.
What did he
And
do?
he did construction.
Okay.
So he did construction, grew up on a dairy farm, and then dad did construction to pay for the bills because the
Okay.
dairy farm was pretty much a wash. In fact, probably cost some money to
Oh
run it.
wow.
But
And he said he passed away. How long was that ago?
it would have been June 2 years ago.
2 years
So
ago.
so
Okay.
this month's 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he was still Amish.
He was still Amish. Yep,
Okay.
Swartz and Trooper Amish. He did construction and roofing. He mostly did roofing towards the end of his life, and
Hmm.
and he was on a roof and ended up getting a heart attack,
No, no.
and then they took him in, and he ended up getting a stroke. They took him in, and actually 3 days after Father's Day, he passed away from a
Wow.
heart attack and
So he had
in
a
the hospital.
stroke and then a heart attack later. Did he like fall off the roof when he had a stroke, or was he?
No, he like went down, and the guy that was working this is my dad. Like I loved my dad
Uh
very
huh.
much, and it was quite a blow when he passed because it was unexpected.
Yeah.
And but he didn't tell any of us that he's still doing roofing, or at
Mm.
least maybe he told my brother. He might have been aware of it, my one brother, but like majority of us didn't know that he was still doing roofing.
How
He's
old was
climbing up.
he?
He's 74 years old.
74.
He's climbing.
That's too old being a roof.
I'm
Hey,
a
I might
roofer.
do it.
I'm a roofer, but I'm not planning on being roofing when I'm 74.
Yeah.
Uh, but anyway, so the guy that was working with him saw that he like went down, like almost like falling, and so
Hmm.
he helped him down off the roof, and they went
Okay.
home for the day. And then that evening, they got the ambulance and took him to the
Oh,
hospital.
okay.
And he was on the road to recovery. Like he was very positive about getting out of the hospital, but
Mm-hmm.
pretty much half his side was paralyzed, and he
Wow.
was slowly getting that back. And then they wanted to do one of those scans, like a run a camera down to
Mm.
look at his heart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's called, but they warned us that it could cause there's risk of a heart attack,
Oh, yeah.
and sure enough, that's what happened.
Wow.
So,
Hmm.
but we weren't able to be there at the time. when he passed, we were kind of holding back. Since he was in Minnesota, we're in Texas. We're holding back to see if he's going to be released or what's going to
Okay.
happen.
Hmm.
So yeah,
So, going back to being Amish, at what point did you decide to leave and why?
yeah. I mean, I left. Actually, I left at the same age you left. I left
Yeah.
when I was 19.
Okay.
Uh, I was gonna leave when I was 16, and then somebody talked me out of leaving because it thought I was too young. Similar to your
Yeah.
story,
Say
it's
say.
pretty wild because my brothers had left. My one brother left when he was 17, and so I wanted to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I was done with the Amish. But since I didn't leave, um, I got into a lot of trouble. And then at the age of 19, I was at a very, very low point in my life.
Mm.
Was on drugs, drinking all the time. Actually, for an Amish kid, I didn't really have a job anymore. I was
All right.
drinking throughout the week, going partying and whatnot. I had my own
Wow.
car. I had a driver's license.
Really? Wow,
I
you're
had cut,
Amish.
I had cut my hair. Like my parents had pretty much they had put up with a lot of
Mm.
stuff.
They knew you had a car.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they knew I had a car.
Wow.
Uh, they did. They put up with pretty much everything except kick me out of the house. Like I
Mm.
should have been kicked out.
Yeah, I'm
And
surprised. A lot of places that would not.
well, they got shunned for it.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and I found out. I found out the one time they got shunned for it, but then I thought I was gonna like. There's so much going on that I just thought like I really don't need to like put my parents through this,
Yeah.
and I don't want to like keep living this way because I'm miserable. They're catching flack from the church. I don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
Amish, but I guess if that's the only way I'm going to heaven, because at that time I still believed that was the only way, because they kind of brainwash you with that,
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
and so I decided, I'll go on one last trip, and that was a trip to Ohio. My sister lived here at the time. Well, she actually still lives here, but they were going to Texas for a missions trip. She said, "Hey, you don't have anything going on. Like, why don't you come to Ohio and go with us on this missions trip?" So, all right, might as well. Don't got $5 to my name. That's what
You're good. Yeah.
I'll go. And I literally had $5 when I came to Ohio. I had
Wow.
nothing, and I went with them on a missions trip. And before I left for that missions trip, I began to ask them about. They had recently left the Amish.
Okay.
They were baptized. Trooper Amish, married Trooper Amish, had several kids, but they had recently left
Okay.
through getting saved. Um, and so I wanted to know more about a relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty messed up. I don't have anything to lose. so so my brother-in-law is like sharing the gospel with me, and that evening I go to bed and I'm thinking, well, if there is a God, like I mean, the only way I know to do is the old Amish way is get down on my knees and start praying.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got down on my knees and I just said, if there's a God, like I want to know you and I want you to be real in my life.
Mm.
And I asked him for forgiveness and boom, like my life changed. It's like God entered himself into that
Wow.
room and I was never the same ever since. Like from that day forward, um, I was on fire for God
Hmm.
and still am. I still love my relationship with the Lord,
Yeah.
and that's what changed in me from when I was 19, living the Amish lifestyle, doing all those crazy things, to now, all of a sudden, overnight, I knew I would never be Amish again.
Yeah.
Like there are so many questions that I had answers to, or that I wanted answers to within the Amish, but they couldn't provide them.
Mm-hmm.
When I got saved, it all started to make sense.
Hmm.
And I started reading my Bible and started to understand why they don't have answers, number one, why they can't explain some things, and so all the rules and stuff. Anyway, so I went back home and I just told my mom, I said, I accepted Christ. I'm never going to be Amish again.
How'd that go?
And she was actually relieved.
Really?
She was still Amish at the time, but she was relieved because that tells you what kind of kid I was
Mm-hmm.
at home.
Wow. So she ended up leaving too?
She did end up leaving, yes.
Okay. And your dad?
He stayed Amish. They
Okay.
stayed married. They stayed living in the same house. He shunned her, for the remainder of their lives. But
Well, um, the church would have had the church would have shunned her, right?
yeah, well, yeah, church would have shunned her. Dad upheld the shunning.
Right. So
yeah,
he had to, because he's a member of the church.
yeah,
So that means they can't live in the same table. They can't eat off the same table
yeah, that's correct.
for the rest of their lives.
Hmm.
Would she wear Amish clothes or English? Or,
She would dress in between, so she
okay.
dressed more like Amish, almost like Amish. Actually, towards the end there, she was wearing skirts and kind of conservative. If you would have seen her, you would have thought she's Mennonite.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
slight covering at times. And,
Yeah.
um,
But she drive a car?
she never did. She drove golf cart all over the place.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
but
But that is weird. I've never heard that before. So they're married, live in the same house, but they can't even eat off the same table.
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of restrictions. Like
Oh yeah.
he couldn't take even anything off her hands, right?
No.
What about the food she cooked?
So the food. I mean, I guess he did eat the food. I
They
don't
cooked
know,
the hell
like.
out of it so he could touch it.
Yeah, I was burned for the rest
Yeah.
the remainder. No, I
Wow.
I don't I know that my dad in the deepest part of him, he really didn't care about the church that much. Like
Yeah.
he he was more concerned, like my dad was a people pleaser, so he was more concerned about people.
Mm.
Um and so when they weren't looking, he had some things.
Uh,
I mean, it's pretty easy for him to, like, my mom had a phone. And when we were at home, I mean, the only way you're going to make a phone call is to go to the neighbor and use the phone.
yeah.
Well, all of a sudden, dad calls me on mom's phone.
Hmm.
I'm like, what is going on here? Like,
That'd be cool though.
that was, I had 2 different times I had a 45-minute conversation with my dad on my mom's phone,
Wow.
that was like, yeah, like I said, towards the end of his life.
Yeah. So weird is I think about sometimes I like to think of the listeners that watch this and to them a lot of times like yeah what that's nothing but to me to have a phone call with my dad would be the coolest thing in the world
Yeah,
because that ain't never happening. Like
yeah.
he would go to the neighbors and ask them to use their phone or ask them to call if the house is on fire or something, but
Hmm.
that's it. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
sometime for a veterinary the horse is sick or something, but they're not using the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's like a treasure, right? I mean, when I had those phone conversations, I
Hmm.
screenshotted them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Wow.
that's something I'll keep for the rest. I mean, I
Yeah.
know it in my heart, but still, like the
Just having that.
evidence that I actually spoke with him.
Yeah.
So.
I have a picture of my dad from him being in court because here in Ohio they had a big fight when they were supposed to put flashers on their bucky.
Oh
That
yeah, I
was something
remember that.
new,
Yeah.
and many of them ended up in court and just they would get a ticket and they wouldn't pay the ticket because they won't pay the fine. That's against their rule. And
I didn't know
so,
that.
yeah, so they go to court. And so there's this guy that he does Facebook Live and stuff for the Ashland County. News. He calls himself.
Oh, okay.
So he would take pictures and put them online and stuff. There's my dad standing there in the fort.
What?
And I got the picture.
That's wild.
The only picture I'll ever have from him.
Wow.
So,
Now, do you see your parents?
I don't much, and it's partially my fault. I used to go about once a year. I would go home to visit.
Wow, are you serious?
Yeah, and I could maybe do more on because he's a bishop too,
Oh, okay.
and and I was like to just say, kind of in his defense, he didn't choose to be bishop. He was voted in
Yeah.
to be bishop, but I can't come around too much. Or it's gonna make him look bad. So
Mm.
I try to respect them and stay away. But then in the last year and a half, I think about a year and a half ago or so, my sister who had left too, she's old, my oldest sister. Um, she went home and he was kind of rude to her, and
Huh.
it kind of ticked me off, and I haven't gotten myself to go face him since then.
Wow.
But I keep thinking, like you said, your dad died, and I keep thinking that day's gonna come, and I hope I don't regret it. So
Yeah.
I have to go see them.
Yeah.
Or I can go and they'll invite me in the house, sit down, talk, and
Mm.
but it's hard to have a conversation. I don't know if it was like that for
Yeah.
you because they don't want to talk about me.
Yeah.
They never ask what I do, what I work, where I live. Like they've done a little bit, but the conversation they're not interested in my life. And so we'll talk about what they're doing, and but I'm not really interested in talking about what's going on in the Amish community and
Yeah.
who had a baby
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So it's hard to get a conversation going,
Yeah.
but you can do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you leave and okay, did you go? You said that your sister was gonna go to a mission trip in Texas. Did you end up going
Yeah,
to that?
I ended up going on that trip, and that trip was absolutely incredible because I met a man that ended up teaching me a lot about the Bible
Hmm.
and on that trip, and in fact he's still a very close friend of mine to this day, and
Interesting.
yeah, he's poured into my life over the years. Just he's very wise when it comes to scriptures and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But he runs a successful business and he has an awesome family and they fostered and adopted as well. And so
Okay.
a lot of similarities there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did that, and then I ended up going. I stayed for 3 months because I didn't trust myself to go back into the environment I was in before.
Mm,
So I stayed in Ohio for 3 months, went back to Minnesota for about another year, and then I moved permanently back to Ohio
okay.
until we moved to Texas. I lived in Ohio for about 10 years
Okay.
there, but I mean
That.
I'm leaving a lot out, but yeah, I had come back from that missions trip, stayed a little while, and then went back to Minnesota, and there's just nothing there. Your friends are not
Mm,
like I go hang out with my friends, but I want to talk about Jesus and they want to drink beer.
oh,
Like it's not the same thing.
yeah.
And I still love my friends to this day, the ones that I used to party with.
Hmm.
Not that I'm condemning them by any means, but I was just in a different phase in life then. Like
Yeah.
I didn't want to continue to destroy myself anymore.
Yeah.
So
So you have to get away from people that influence you.
yeah.
And then when did you meet your wife?
Oh, when I moved back to Ohio is when
Okay.
I started hanging out with her. Well, she was best friends with my sister.
Oh, okay.
Still is.
Okay.
And so um, I met her, and she didn't want to. Well, maybe I should let her talk about. I had to work really hard to
Really?
to to get her, and which was okay. I was okay with that because
Hmm.
up to that point, like I had a real serious. I mean, I had several girlfriends, but
Hmm.
um,
The good
so
ones are hard to get,
they are
I would say.
yes,
Uh,
anyway, in my experience, the only good one out there was very hard to get.
Yeah. I know of another good one. We can agree
Yeah,
to
yeah.
disagree.
Let's we'll
Um,
just leave it right at that.
yeah. So you get married, and then how do you end up in Texas, where you live now?
So we got married and we had no intentions on having like having kids or
Really?
growing a family. We I was just done. Like I have 50 some nieces and nephews.
That's enough, huh?
If I ever need a kid, I just go to one of those for a while.
Oh,
Back.
can I borrow
Uh,
your nephew, my nephew for a week?
plus, before we got married, I started a business. So a year before we got married, I was 22 years old. I started a business, and I was so busy growing that business, I couldn't
Mm,
even think about kids really. And so it wasn't until about year 5 into our marriage, we said we'd give it 5 years and we revisit it. And if
okay.
we both decided like we'd want to have kids, then we could figure out what to do.
Yeah.
5 years came around, we still weren't ready.
Oh yeah.
We're still building the company,
Right.
still growing the company.
What are you
We
working
were transportation,
with?
and we were
Okay.
going all across the U.S. Her and I, team
Really?
driving. Yeah,
So you got your own truck?
yeah,
Really? What
yeah.
kind of truck? A cool one or?
It was a. I had a couple of uh, Finales and Duramaxes.
Oh, not
Like
semi.
not semi,
Well, what
no
were you
pickup truck
hauling?
and trailer. I did own one uh W900 Kenworth.
Okay.
So that was a cool truck,
So is
but
it like hot shotting?
mostly hot shotting. Yeah, like
Okay.
hauling those little teardrop camper trailers and
Oh, all those like RV campers out
yeah.
of Indiana
Well, the
or
do you know the teardrop manufacturer out of Sugar Creek? They
hmm,
make those little round teardrop looking
they're called
campers.
teardrop. Just
Yeah.
like tiny
Yeah,
short.
they're real small.
Huh.
Yeah, you pretty much you drive in and you back out of them. That's how small they are.
Like the person.
As a person, you walk in and back out. No, they're good.
Oh,
It's pretty small.
that's small.
Yeah.
And they're made in Sugar Creek.
Yeah, they're made in
Okay.
Sugar Creek, Ohio.
So you would
And
deliver them
so,
all over the place.
yeah, we deliver
Ah,
years. And then we delivered for James Hardy, the Hardy Siding building products.
yeah.
We delivered for we delivered equipment, tractors,
Okay. So
and
you had a trailer you would put down on the trailer.
yes,
Okay, I was
yeah.
imagining you just put one behind your truck,
Oh no,
but they're
no,
small enough you could put a
yeah,
few. I gotcha. Okay.
yeah. See, we load up to 4 or 5 on
Okay.
the smaller ones. Now the bigger ones there'd be maybe 3 or 4.
Gotcha. And
But
then at night you park and go back and go in there to sleep.
yeah, and the pickup.
Or did you?
No, they had such an issue with that they started locking all the
Oh,
doors.
really?
We never did. We never did that.
Mm,
I say never. I feel like I did it one time just to see what it was like, but I
mm.
can't remember. It was not a common thing. We'd taken the back seat of our out of our truck and we'd put a mattress back there
Oh, really?
and we'd sleep back
For
there.
the two of you on that little
Yeah, I
type
mean we
thing.
were young in love. Like I mean this is perfect.
That kind of event and still no kids. Wow, that's
Yeah,
some
but
discipline right there.
I learned how to drive truck early on. I'm telling you. No, it was good. It was a great time. It was a great season for us because we
Yeah.
got to go travel. Um,
Hmm.
but we did that, and then we began to realize that life is pretty stinking boring if all you got is
Mm,
some money in the bank
just
and
you.
it's just us two. And so
Mm.
it's almost like it was designed not to be that way.
Yeah, I think it probably was. I think it was.
Yes, I truly believe it was, and that's
Yeah.
when we started feeling the nudge to move to Texas, because that's
Okay.
where we adopted 3 kids from.
Right. But like, were your family there or something, or like you
No,
Texas? You threw a dart at the map and hey, hit Texas. Had to be
Yeah,
something.
so there was I mean, a lot of thoughts went into where we want to go, and Tennessee was one of the states we had put on the map to go to. Conservative, not too far away from Ohio, close family. We
Yeah.
went there, we visited Tennessee. There was absolute nothing there for us. Like
Oh, really?
Nashville area, just nothing felt right.
Yeah.
You drive around, it's like, I don't want to live here. I don't want, that type of thing. And then we just kept coming back to Texas. And I was
Mhm.
driving on 30 coming up into Worcester one day, and God said, why don't you go? Like, what
Hmm.
are you waiting on?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that day because I um I didn't want to go. I
Really?
No, I did not want to go. It's the
But
first time in my life that I didn't want to.
was it her that wanted to go, or was it just the reality that kind of hit you?
Yeah, it was a combination of things because at the time we were running our business. We had just built our dream house.
Okay.
We were getting ready to live our life, and we could stay in Ohio or we could be obedient and go to Texas.
Right.
And
So it's that get out of your comfort zone, and
yes,
I gotcha. Yeah.
and I mean, you show me a pool it's full of cold water, I'll jump in. Like I have no problem doing
Not me. I'm staying behind. I'm going to the hot tub.
so, so you put me up to the test, I'll go. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the type of guy I am, but for whatever reason this time around my wife was the one nudging me to
Mm-hmm.
go. And so we made the decision to go, and we packed up enough clothes in the car to keep ourselves comfortable, and we drove to Texas, and we looked around. It was not planned at all.
Wow.
Like we
Just
we literally drove there. We looked around. We found the place. We showed up at this empty apartment, and we didn't have any furniture, and we had
mm,
a car full of clothes, and like, okay, what now? It's like we're starting over again. And
wow.
uh
Well, you get money in the bank at least and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we did. We had money in the bank, but we realized getting there, the cost of things to be out in the so-called real world
Mm-hmm.
and not family around to support you. Like I remember driving down the road and seeing a chair that somebody had lost. I picked it up and it was all scratched up, but that was one of our chairs for a
Oh
long time.
wow.
'Cause, like, I don't want to go buy a bunch of chairs. Like,
Yeah.
we need to make rent, and I don't know what I'm gonna do for work.
Mm.
And anyway, everything
Yeah.
worked out really well.
Do you think that I don't know if it's just ex-Amish, but especially those I see it this way, come out of the Amish and then you're around a bunch of other ex-Amish and
Mm-hmm.
it's a good way to push yourself out to do something like that. Get out of your comfort zone, get away, leave your flock,
Yeah.
go to a
Yeah.
different state or something. Because that happened to me is I was just working with my ex-Amish buddies
Mm.
until I got the dream job that I wanted, drive truck and trailer and to go work for this company where there's no Amish. And so,
Gotcha.
man, I learned words to help me speak English and
Yeah.
respect and like knowing what it's like to be in a workplace like that. So I grew a lot when I did that.
Mm.
And I don't know how long were you out of the Amish when this happened? Like how many years did you do
I had been out for, I guess it would have been close to 10 years.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, when
you're
I was
growing up, but
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely like, and I feel like for our family, it was a little bit different because there's so many of our family that had left. There's only
okay.
2 out of the 10 that are still Amish. And
Wow.
so all my older siblings, they kind of gave me an inside look of what it's like to be in the outside world
Yeah.
before I even left.
Mm.
And so it was a little bit different for me in that way, but there's still, yes, getting completely out of the Amish community is it is very challenging.
Yeah,
Like moving to Texas is probably the hardest move I've ever made
yeah. But
because
it causes you to grow and
yeah,
kind of
it's
forces you to.
costs a lot. Or it's I mean I have some incredibly awesome friends down there, and they're not Amish,
Yeah,
and it's great.
yeah,
But yeah, the first couple of years were rough.
yeah.
It's, you're not going to the local market and picking up stuff or talking to
Mm-hmm.
some Amish guy on the corner, whatever the
Yeah,
case is. It's
yeah,
just nothing's familiar. The environment, the culture is different too.
for sure.
So
What do you do now?
I do construction, roofing
Okay,
mostly. So I have a roofing company, and
okay,
we do a lot of insurance work and the podcast, the
right.
Amish Rebel Podcast. Working
Yeah.
on that.
How did how did you decide? I mean, I know everybody's doing podcasts these days, so maybe you're just one of the everybody. Yeah. How did you come up with that idea?
Well, I'm definitely not one of the everybody's. I would
Hmm.
put myself in that category. No, I just I didn't know how popular podcasts were until I started. But I knew that moving to Texas, um, it's like this has been like something that's been on my heart for a long time is to
Yeah.
get into a public space of speaking and
Okay.
being able I love teaching. And so when I think it was like 4 years later, I realized I still hadn't done this thing. And
Hmm.
that drove me crazy. So I had gone through some of this, some leadership training that they caused me to put a challenge in place that would really challenge myself personally to grow, and also it would, like, I just don't know how it would work. And
Mm.
I guess I got up in front of a group of people and said I was starting a podcast, and I had no idea how I was starting a podcast.
Uh-oh.
And so I had to, stay
Mm.
true to my word, and that's how I started it,
Mm.
and just began to work on it from there. Still
Yeah.
working on it.
So are you looking at doing a lot of stuff about the Amish life, or you just kind of do, like, is there a specific place you're trying to go with it, or?
Yeah, I mean, my idea of it is to document like ex-Amish that leave the Amish,
Okay.
document their stories along with uh, people that are like society wouldn't call them successful, but I see them as very successful. People that
Okay.
maybe didn't go to college, maybe didn't have a traditional upbringing, unique story, uh, and they're doing very well in life.
Okay.
And kind of like yourself, just you didn't have a traditional path.
Right.
And society would have probably call you off as someone that's not going to do anything in life, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just the reality of it. Like, the system is created in such a way that if you didn't go to college, like, I couldn't get hired anywhere because I
Right.
didn't have a degree. Well, that does not necessarily mean that I'm a throwaway and I can't go do stuff, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, I want other young Amish kids that are leaving, I want to give them a platform that they can pull from and say, well, if he did it, why
Mm.
can't I?
Yeah. I love that. That's great. I kind of have kind of that same dream.
Okay.
And just when I left, I remember the guy I was going to work for. Yeah, I would pull up with my friend. He was driving, of course, and he's doing construction. I see this nice big red Chevy pickup truck sitting there, and I remember I looked at it and I thought, well, that can't be his truck because no ex-Amish
Mm,
person could afford that. And it's kind of weird now looking back. Where did I even get that idea from? But
mm.
that I had this mindset of, well, you're behind. Like I can't do what others could do
Oh,
because I was Amish. And
yeah.
yeah, we need more people to show that. I mean, there's billionaires in this world that dropped out of high school.
Mm.
And I think
Yeah.
it's changing, isn't it? A little bit where a company used to not hire you maybe if you didn't have a college degree or a GED or something. I think you're kind of seeing that that's not that important anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely shifting, but maturity still lies in, or at least when I applied for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Like the reason I started my trucking company is because I couldn't get hired on a trucking company,
Oh, wow.
and it irritated me to the point where I said,
Mm-hmm.
all right, I guess if that's what it is, then I'll just go do my own thing.
Yeah.
Like I'll figure it out.
But was
And
that a curse or a blessing now?
it was absolutely a blessing, and I'm thankful
Mm-hmm.
for that. I
Yeah.
really am
Yeah.
because it taught me a lot of things. But I think that, yeah, back to what you said, I think more companies are realizing that you can, if you just give a guy a shot
Yeah.
that is driven, um, it's probably better than a guy
Yeah.
that has three three different careers and or three different whatever you degrees,
Yeah.
yeah, three different degrees and doesn't show up on work or for work on time. So
Right. Yeah.
so
But we're not saying that you shouldn't go to college or get a degree,
I'm
right?
saying you absolutely should not.
Depends on what you want to do.
If you want to be a doctor and you're gonna work
Yeah.
on me, you better have a degree.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm saying if I mean me personally, I'm saying if you need a degree for your field, I mean I think that's the wise thing to do. I
Yeah.
encourage my boys like, hey, if you want to go to college for something that needs a degree,
Yeah.
go to college. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have to go to college to be successful.
No. There's so much information out there, and sometimes it's just starting at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I started as a driver, just driving truck and trailer, and then all of a
Okay.
sudden I was a shipping manager because the shipping manager that was there quit. And then I thought about it later. I was like, if I would have walked in there and said I want to be a shipping manager, okay, so you got eighth grade Amish school, no GED, no high school, no college, nothing, and you're going to expect to run the shipping department, and it's a
Mm,
small, like 3 or 4 drivers, but they was at no, or most
yeah.
companies would.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to start somewhere else and just work hard, be better than the other people, stay longer in the evening, start early in the morning,
Yeah.
show that you're worthy, they'll put you up there, your degree or not. You'll get up there if you're willing to work for it.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. I'd agree with you on that. I mean, I prior to starting my own thing, I did very well just
Yeah.
showing up to work on time.
hmm That's a
That's
big one. Just showing up. Work
showing up.
ethics.
Yeah.
Yeah, work ethics. Yeah, well, we're an hour in,
Okay.
and these things always, you think you can pack a lot into an hour. It's crazy. It gets
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. It's
So,
fast.
anything else you want to say?
Man, I just want to encourage you, keep on doing what you're doing. You're
Thank
making
you.
a big difference and you're a huge inspiration.
Hmm.
Like
I'm just gonna
like
take it. Go on.
take it, Josh.
Go
Take it.
on.
So these are all the words your dad should have said.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, seriously, I mean that from my heart though. Like you're a huge inspiration and I know there's lots more people that are gonna draw from that as well.
hmm
And you've been an inspiration to me, a blessing, and just supporting us with our channel as well. I appreciate that so
Yeah,
much.
well, I
So
appreciate it.
yeah.
Yeah, for people out there, if you're interested in that, you have the YouTube channel, the Amish Rebel Podcast,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
what other platforms?
So it's the Amish Rebel Podcast, which ties into the Amish Roofer. If you're in DFW area, Dallas Fort Worth area,
Okay,
you can support us through reaching out to our roofing company and
take a
like
gun, shoot a hole up through the roof. That's bad advice, isn't it? Like a shotgun, so it doesn't go out far. Preferably 12 gauge makes a bigger hole. and then call him and
Come
he'll
out and
fix your roof.
repair it.
Yeah, and the
Yep.
insurance would cover, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I was cooking
too.
a potato and it exploded, and
Yeah.
you know,
We get some interesting ones, man.
yeah. Tell me
Yeah.
about the weirdest one.
Um,
Curious now.
the weirdest ones are damage that you like very much suspect that they've already done a claim on, and they're
Okay.
trying to do another claim on it. It's like, come on, the insurance is not going to pay for it twice. Like you can't file two claims on the same storm. So those are the
Mm.
weirdest ones.
So do you think they actually want to collect the money maybe without getting the work done
Oh,
or something?
sure they do.
Oh,
Yeah,
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 yeah. They wanna. They already did that once,
yeah.
and that's why it's not changed. But then they want to try
Yeah.
to do that again
I gotcha.
and see if it works again. It's not gonna work again because
So they got paid from the
yeah,
insurance. See, that's where it's frustrating because there's really anything like that in life. We pay more for insurance because of that stuff,
yes,
right?
yep, yep.
It's crazy.
The people that are honest and are doing the things the right way, they end up
Yeah. You ever
paying
think
for that.
about what life would? This is just a bonus of the interview. Okay, this is the bonus in the end. I literally recently thought about what would life look like if there was no evil. People wouldn't do
Mm,
like imagine how much money we spend on prisons. How
yeah.
many like what was it, 20 billion we spend in Afghanistan war and
Yes.
like the billions of dollars we spend on military for protection against a little fat man in North Korea that wants to kill us and
Mm,
like just billions and billions of dollars and
yeah.
rules and rules and rules and regulations that me and you have to live by and many other people that are there only because there's people out there that want to take advantage of others and do
Mm,
evil stuff.
yeah.
If you really think about it, it's a lot of money and a lot of restrictions on us. I mean, I have to spend money on guns in my house in case a bad guy wants to come and do harm to my family.
Yep.
I could be saving that money. So,
I think you just spelled out your new mission. Get out, get the evil out of
um,
this nation.
that's part of that is my dream. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I'll join you in that journey.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I keep scratching my head. Wait, that means there's someone curious or something. Just two dudes in the corner having a conversation. But yeah, there's your bonus at the end of the video. So feel free to go and subscribe to his channel. It always helps, even my videos, if people hit that like, the thumbs up button, and maybe share it with people and tell your friends about it. The Amish Rebel Podcast. It's a pretty cool name.
Thank you.
Yeah, pretty clever. So, all right, have a good one.